When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle.
Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish,
the podcast that's like a raisin. There are very few contexts in which you're happy to have it in your mouth.
Wait. I make everyone happy when I'm in their mouth, Kyle. I don't like this. Let's start over. The new one. No. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz.
And we're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality. And today,
I'm very excited about our guest today.
I'm excited too.
We're going to be talking to singer, songwriter GALXARA.
Yeah, GALXARA. And we're going to talk about songwriting.
Yeah. Before we do the news, I wanted to mention we've been on 2 podcasts recently, so check them out. One is Radio SGN. SGN is Seattle Gay News. It's the local gay newspaper in our area. They have a podcast as well. So we are news enough for Seattle gays, which is awesome. And we are also on Lost Spaces, which is a podcast where they talk about queer bars or clubs that have been closed, which we know is a problem in our community, and especially in, like lesbian bars and everything. So we were on there talking about a Seattle bar, Our Place.
Yeah.
So check those out. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. Check them out for sure. And now the news.
Shut your mouth hole. It's time for your ear holes. News.
Okay, news the first. What do you know about Carl Nassib, Kyle?
Nothing.
Yeah. The NFL's first out gay active player.
Oh.
Yeah, he came out last year on Instagram during Pride Month, and the thing is, I didn't notice this when it happened, but apparently then he was cut by his former team, the Las Vegas Raiders. So this last March, they let him go. And so now he has been looking for a new home and has just this week been signed onto the final roster of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which that's, I think, the gayest named football team.
I was just thinking, isn't that what we were all called?
Yeah, but he had played 2 seasons with the Buccaneers before signing with the Las Vegas Raiders. And then he came out and then he got cut, and now he's back with the Buccaneers. And here's the thing.
He's a flip-flopper.
Well, yeah,
there's flip-flopping.
Yeah, there's that. There's definitely that. But then you kind of wonder, is it because he was gay? Did he get cut because he was gay?
Yeah.
They said it was for cost-cutting measures, but
It's and they also recently closed down the Starbucks that were trying to unionize because it was a safety issue. Yeah, it's hard to not think that it has something to do with being gay.
Yep. Yeah. Well, anyway. He survived that. I feel like there have been other pro athletes that we have seen come out and then their career sort of ends for one reason or another. But this one keeps on going. He is switching positions with the Bucs, which that sentence is great. He's going from defensive end to outside linebacker. But he's not the starter. The starter is going to be Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. But apparently in this position, it's highly likely that he will play with fairly regularly. So. He's also smoking ass hot. So let's celebrate that.
Yay, hot gays!
Yay, hot gays!
There's a place for you in this world.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I did also think we had a first NFL out gay player. Maybe it was him that I'm thinking.
Well, no, there was Michael Sam, who was out and then never got signed.
Oh,
he
I thought he was got recruited by the Rams.
This is a good question. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look now. He was out and he played for college, and then he was drafted by the Rams.
Knowledge! Fuck you, everyone. I'm done. I'm out skis. Best thing I'll ever do. Bye. Sports gay here.
He played a preseason game, and then he was released in their final round of cuts. So he never actually made the team. He only played a preseason game, as opposed to Carl here, who's been playing and gay and out. And
You're doing the vocab, the official vocab of NFL. Very good.
yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. This has been Sports Talk with Mike and Kyle.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Could we host a radio or a sports show? That would be very good.
It would be so great. Especially if we got some like cranky old queen that like actually knew sports.
Oh,
and
yeah.
could just like drag us along the journey. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about.
No.
News the second.
Great.
So the United Kingdom has a new prime minister. Her name is Liz Truss. So Boris Johnson, of course, stepped down, and there's a big old fight over who was going to get to be the prime minister. They've chosen Liz Truss. Here's the thing. So Prime Minister Truss for being a Tory, has a pretty okay record when it comes to LGBT stuff. She voted for marriage equality back in the day in 2013, and also has been like the worst that she's done is to abstain from some votes that would have been good for queer people, but has not been on record really as actively against gay rights. However, her deputy prime minister, Theresa Coffey, is a huge cunt. So she's been named as the health secretary and deputy prime minister. It's a little bit like our system in that, like, if Liz is incapacitated or like needs somebody to pinch hit for her, then Coffey gets to step in. At least that's how I understand it. I don't know UK politics or the system that well. But anyway, she was the first appointment that Truss made, and she has just been fucking terrible. So she voted against same-sex marriage in 2013. She was even worse after it passed the House of Commons. She was one of a group of 15 members of parliament who then ran to the House of Lords to ask them to block same-sex marriage, because they have a two-house system. Like, everything goes to the House of Lords, but mostly the House of Lords just kind of rubber stamps shit, because like the House of Commons is where shit is supposed to actually happen. Anyway, so they're like trying to get them to subvert the process. It's just horse shit. In 2019, she voted against extending marriage rights to queer couples in Northern Ireland. And she has stated her opposition to mandatory sex and relationships education in schools, has suggested that parents should be allowed to withdraw their children from lessons where they see fit. She has, when we overturned Roe v. Wade, removing the constitutional right to abortion, she said that she would prefer that women didn't have abortions, but that she wouldn't condemn people that do. But she said in 2020, during an appearance on Sky News, she said, quote, "I took the view at the time that same-sex marriage is bad, that the family is the main purpose of marriage. I took the view at the time, and I still hold to that. I have a strong faith background about what is a legal partnership and what is marriage, but that is not a question for today. I believe in live and let live, and I'll be interested to see." And she's a big old Boris Johnson supporter. She's just like, I just fucking goddamn Tories. I mean,
that's interesting given all you said. And then she said, I'm fine with live and let live. Like, but it doesn't seem like you really are. Like, it seemed like you were the opposite. It seemed like you were very restrictive on who you want to live equally.
Yep, exactly right. And now, because she is the health secretary, she's going to have to work on issues about whether the National Health Service is going to provide PrEP to gay people or give trans people gender affirming healthcare. Abortion access will very much be part of that equation. Like, she's like the worst possible bitch in charge of the worst possible stuff.
Yeah. If you can't understand and agree with the majorities of, or all of the medical groups that confirm that, sexual orientation can't change as is natural, and gender identity, that giving people gender affirming healthcare is the best outcome. Like, those aren't opinions. That's what every major medical group says. So if you're running the health organization, are you going to abide by what all of the medical groups say, or your religion? Like, what are you going to use to inform health policy? And it's very scary that Tories and Republicans here would pick the Bible instead of like what stuff that works.
Yep. I agree. Why can't we just run shit, Kyle?
Oh God, I don't know that I would pick that for anyone.
News the last. Just 2 hours ago, the popular British children's show Peppa Pig introduced its first same-sex couple.
Oh.
2 lesbian polar bears.
Are their names Salt and Peppa?
Oh, God. No.
Hmm.
No. I guess there was a petition that went around not too long ago in 2019 that called for the show to add same-sex parents, and got over 25,000 signatures. And it said, quote, children watching Peppa Pig are at an impressionable age, and excluding same-sex families will teach them that only families with either a single parent or 2 parents of different sexes are normal. Peppa Pig is not just for entertainment. Children are inevitably learning from it, too. So Penny the polar bear tells Peppa Pig that, quote, she has, quote, 2 mummies, and draws a picture of herself holding hands with them. Quote, I live with my mummy and my other mummy, Penny says in the episode, which is titled Families. She also adds that one of her polar bear lesbian moms is a doctor. I think the visibility is great. Like part of the thing is like grooming is a dangerous word that is, like, makes people flip the fuck out all over hell. And I think it's also very much necessary. I don't mean like sexual deviancy grooming the way that they use the word grooming, but I think visibility can be sort of grooming a person to not suck as a terrible human, and showing them that, hey, this family has 2 mommies. I think is great.
Okay. I mean, like, that's just teaching. That's just like teaching and educating.
Yeah.
Grooming is like, they use it for us, but it's like what pedophiles do to help encourage someone like to be okay, like to not understand and be okay with.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean, and maybe would still not use that verb.
Yeah, I get it. It's like the word rainbow and faggot. We need to hold on to them. and
I don't know that anyone's trying to hold on to the word grooming. No, I don't know that that's the fight we want to be fighting against.
All right, that's fair. Before we end the news, there is an update. I did talk about this on episode 291, so not that long ago. But United States District Judge Reed O'Connor ruled on Wednesday the 7th that requiring insurance companies to cover medications that are used for PrEP violates plaintiffs' rights on religious grounds. So anyway, the judge has ruled that if you don't want to pay for PrEP as an insurance company because it violates your religious beliefs, then you don't have to.
What if it violates my religious beliefs not to receive a medication? What if my God said, you shall receive all the medication you ask for, and it violates my religious rights that you're not giving it to me? Like,
yeah.
That's the thing about religious rights, is anyone can write down anything and say that anything violates any of their religious rights. And then you're just like, who does God love more? And that's the battle you have in court. Like,
Yep,
it's
absolutely.
the dummest thing. I don't give a shit what your God thinks. Like, help us prevent HIV. That shouldn't be a question. That's I'm so frustrated. I saw this, and it's extremely frustrating that it's like, it's the same as the people that are like calling and actively trying to block calls to the Trevor Project. Like, they just want gay people to die, and they don't give a shit about anyone except themselves.
Also, this isn't the point. I understand that, so don't need that lecture. HIV is not just a gay thing, right? Like, if the religious view that gets them off the hook for having to pay for PrEP is that homosexuality is gross, there are lots of other reasons that a person might need to be on PrEP besides butt sex. Yeah. Again, not the point.
Yeah.
But let's take it to its logical conclusion here. That medication does not equal butt sex. So fuck your feelings and fuck your Jesus and fuck all of that. But at least make sense, right? Like,
yeah, it's unfortunate. Sometimes you have to explain it to people in ways that it affects them and their own community, and people should care about everyone. I thought that's what Jesus meant when he said love everyone, but maybe he meant something different. But like, yeah, it shouldn't have to affect them for them to care about it, but it does. It affects everyone, not just gays.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the news. Oh, it'll be appealed. It's like it's going to go to the appellate court, and then will likely land in the Supreme Court. And like, there's probably not enough time to get the Supreme Court turned around before that gets there. And then it's just going to be fucking anarchy, and we're all going to die. That's the news.
Well, on that note, I'm really excited to tell you about.
Yeah, right.
No, okay, we'll get excited again.
These Peppa Pigs. Talk about these Peppa Pigs.
These are appealing themselves. These I would thank Patreon members Gloria Smorningwood.
Oh no!
Nailed it. Sebi and Michael Peters. Some good easy names that I presumably all pronounced correctly. Thank you so much to our Patreon members. If you want to get episodes a day early, ad-free, get bonus content, bonus segments, video stuff, and a whole lot more, go to patreon.com/Gayish podcast.
Do it.
All right, Mike, you ready to talk about songwriting and GALXARA?
Yeah, let's talk about songwriting and GALXARA. Okay. I'm very glad that I watched an interview with her, because the first question that the interviewer asked her was, "How do you say your name?" And it was kind of awkward. Not the best out of the gate interviewing that I'd seen.
Yeah.
But she explained it very politely to this very dumb looking man that it's GALXARA.
Yep. I have been following GALXARA since I think even before like her big hit on the Birds of Prey album. I really like her, so I'll be interested. And she's been posting a lot to TikTok about kind of her story and what she's been through as a songwriter, as a singer. So I'll be interested in exploring more with her about that. But you're also a musician. Do you do any songwriting, Mike?
Some people heard the theme to this show at the top of the show. So
yeah,
I wrote a lot more when I was younger. I have a bunch of like angsty bullshit that I wrote in college, and it's something that I've always wanted to do more of, and then haven't. My cousin Maddie and I have written some stuff and bounced ideas off of each other, and that's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Nice.
That was a very long-winded yes, Kyle.
Yeah. No, if you just said yes, this wouldn't be a podcast. So you got to say more.
That's the secret, kids, for all y'all out there that want to get a podcast going. You just talk.
Got all the answers today.
Yep. How about you? You ever written songs? You write poetry, which is, that's song adjacent.
Yeah, a poem is just a quiet song.
Yeah.
It's a song on paper. It's a song that doesn't know it's a song yet. It's interesting because sometimes when you just look at the lyrics of something, you're like, oh, the only reason this is any good is because there's music going on here that's interesting. Like, and there are other singer-songwriters that even without the music behind it, it is like poetry that they bring to life. So she, to me, is one of those that actually, like, you can tell she has kind of emotion and feeling behind the lyrics that she writes. So, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can, if anyone wants to sing anything from my chapbook, Gays Don't Poop, surely there's some gems there that could become.
I could take a stab at putting one or more of them to music. Yeah. You should have a gayish album.
Oh, sure. Why not? I mean, as long as it involves me not doing any more work, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I've done my part.
Yeah, same, girl. I can't take that project on.
Okay. Well, that project was killed so quickly in production.
Yeah. So we're going to take a break, and when we get back, we'll have GALXARA with us, and she's gonna melt our faces.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Wanna take a break?
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
Hey everyone, it's Kyle. One quick editing note before we get to our conversation with GALXARA. We recorded this last week before the Queen died, which only matters for an initial discussion that we had with her about Prince Harry, and it's why that didn't come up at all, which may seem a little bit odd, but it hadn't happened for us yet. So just wanted to explain that context, and now hope you enjoy the rest of the episode.
So are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're back. We are here with GALXARA. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi. Hello there.
You were just recently traveling, and I saw, did you perform for Prince Harry?
Oh, I forgot that there's such thing as social media and that everybody else can see my life. Yes, I did actually. Crazy. Yeah. I performed for the World Polo League, which like I had no idea was even a thing, but you know, it's like the game polo with the horses and everything. And they usually have me sing the national anthem, and then I do sometimes a couple songs for them and whatever. And this time they had said there was going to be a special guest, but I didn't know who it was because, like, I guess for safety reasons, they couldn't let me know, you know, because he's the prince, I guess. So, or actually he's the Duke of Sussex. Yeah. So then like the day before they were like, so the special guest is Prince Harry. And I was like, seriously? And first thing I said, actually, I was like, well, is Megan going to be there? And they're like, no, unfortunately not. She's back home in California, whatever, with the baby. And I was like, because I really wanted to see the babies, but they were not there. Whatever, it's okay. But I was still like, wow, that's so cool, you know, which it was. I mean, like, one other time would I ever sing, like, the national anthem in front of him and him being there? And funny, ironically, that my grandmother, who's from England, she actually used to babysit and nanny for Charles, his father. So it was just like a weird, like turn of events, and just felt really cool. And
this
like,
is now officially the closest we've been to the royal family. So thank you very much for being on and like, giving us the legit street cred we need.
That's so funny.
Except for that one time that I jumped the fence at Buckingham Palace. That might have been my closest. but closest legally.
No, it was super cool. It was, you know, I'm very blessed. And yeah, it was, you know, there's no tea I can spill on him except that he's good at polo. Really, he really is.
I forgot that there's the kind of polo with the horses. Like for a second there, I was thinking it was like the hot dudes swimming kind, the water polo, like which would be a very different thing altogether.
You're like, yeah, I saw him shirtless in the water, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Okay, then let's back up a little bit. You've posted basically like your career until now. You've posted kind of clips and versions on TikTok, and I want to expand and know a little bit more. But to start us off, can you tell us how you got to Atlantic Records?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So I essentially like knew pretty much from like age 3 that music was what I was going to do for the rest of my life. Like I just, you know, sometimes you just know, I don't know. And yeah, so I knew that was what I was going to do. And then it was really just a matter of like, how am I going to get to the point that I want to get to, which like, you know, I want to be on, you know, Gaga, Beyonce, that kind of level, you know, like it's good to dream big, whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
And I started taking like piano lessons at 7 and then started doing singing lessons, and singing came very naturally to me. Like that's what I wanted to do all the time. I love to perform. And then I started doing some singing competitions, and eventually I was like 13 or 14, and I was like, okay, I've done a gazillion of them and I've won quite a lot of them. So I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this anymore, because like, come on, singing competitions, they're only going to get me so far, you know, like unless I'm trying to go to like American Idol or The Voice. But I was kind of like, no, I don't really want to go down that path. So I just started working with like this little music, like record, little company there in Florida that helped me like make some songs, write some songs, record some stuff, you know, a little studio place. And one of the guys there had a contact to my A&R, my, you know, now A&R, but at Atlantic Records, and he was just like, hey, I have this girl. And ironically, the A&R was also in Florida, which like Florida is not a music, like a big music place. Like, you know, like it's specifically, I was living in Orlando, and Orlando is like known for like, I'm trying to think back in like the 90s, like Backstreet Boys and Sync, that vibe, but like not anymore. So it was like, you know, it was very weird that I was there and he was there and we didn't know about each other. So he was just like, you know, you should come by, see this girl sing, whatever. So I sang, I did some songs, and then slowly, like one of it's kind of hard to explain, I guess, but like my A&R at the time at Atlantic, he had like the guy, his right-hand man, who was like younger, who was earlier starting out, and he saw like a lot of potential in me, and he was like, I believe in you and I want to help you. So, you know, whatever I can do. And so he started like getting me set up with just small little writing sessions, like nothing big. But he was like, you know, it's just good to start doing that, because that's, you know, like that's the game, you know, you're not going to be singing covers forever. So I was like, yeah, no, 100%. And And so he ended up like flying me out to like Nashville a few times because he lives in Nashville, and started doing some stuff there. And then all of a sudden, next thing I know, the A&R was like, all right, well, we're gonna go to New York now, and you're gonna sing for the head of Atlantic. And I was like, okay, like, sure. And I remember us going there, but it's all still a blur to me, honestly. And I think I also just didn't really know what was going on, which helped because my nerves were like, just like, whatever, you know. So I just remember going there, and I remember my A&R was like, look, the head of Atlantic, Craig Cowman, he was like, he is a very busy man. So you might get 1, maybe 2 songs like through. And I had prepared like 4 or 5. And so then I get in the room and I sing one, and then my A&R looks at him and he's like, you know, do you have time for another? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. So I sang my second one. And then he's like, all right, another one. And I was like, okay, good thing we prepared more. And so I sang another, and then I sang another, and I sang all 4 of them. And then he was like, you know what? Wait a second. And so then head of Atlantic, he walked out, Craig, and we were like, shit. I mean, I was like, oh no, like, what did I do wrong?
Bye.
Goodbye. And then he ended up bringing the other head of Atlantic, I guess, Julie Greenwald, who she's like the head of marketing. And she was supposedly in like a marketing meeting for Bruno Mars at the time, in the moment. And he was like, Julie, you have to come listen to this. So he grabbed her and the entire meeting, like, I don't know, 15 people. And they all came into the room, and he was like, do it all over again. So I just sang everything all over again, which like ripped my vocals because I was like, okay, like, I'm a good singer, but this is too much for me. And yeah, and so I sang for all of them, and I mean, it was magical. My dad was there, and it was awesome. And you know, at that point, then, you know, came home and was like, well, that went good, and guess we'll see what happens. And then I think like a month or 2 later, they're like, okay, we want to officially sign you to Atlantic Records. And I was like, okay, you know, sign my life away. But
yeah, right.
But, yeah.
That moment feels like the moment every songwriter, every singer is dreaming of, like getting to sign that kind of deal. What did that feel like?
It definitely was like surreal. I mean, I was 15, which like, when I think, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound so young. But then I think of like where I was, and that's really young. Like, I was just a kid, and I understood what was going on, but I also did not realize like what was really about to happen, I guess, just as far as like the seriousness of it all, I guess, the severity of like, now you're doing this like as a career. And even though you're 15, people don't care. You're going to be treated as like an adult, like a complete adult. You're supposed to kind of know how to socially interact and be a person, even though I'm a person that like at the time didn't even know who I was, you know, like, I mean, I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what I've seen you talk about, and this part I want to understand a little bit more, you've written all of these songs and put out 5 songs. What happens to, how many songs did I see hundreds of songs? Is that?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Your face when you hear.
Yeah, seriously.
So what happens to those hundreds of songs that you've written?
I mean, I feel like, okay, so there's probably a portion of them that are getting pitched out to other artists, to other individuals, you know, just like I get pitched songs all the time from other people who don't want them. And then there's a good chunk of them that are probably going down the toilet, I think, because honestly, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. I guess can't think of a good example to it, but it's just kind of like, even though, yes, they're an actual tangible song, you can listen to it, you can hear it. There's lyrics, there's a chorus, whatever. I mean, to me, I look at them more as like, they were practice. It was practice for me, you know, like it was like, I don't know, practicing doing something over and over and over again, and finally you get better and better. And I mean, that's how I see it. Now, of course, you never know. There's songs that sometimes, you know, somebody picks them out and they're like, this is a gem, let's finish this. And that happens all the time. And by now, I probably have I have like over 300 songs. Demos. That's a good point to make, because there's a difference, you know, between like finished song and demo.
That's a shit ton of demos to me. I don't know anything about it, but that seems like a whole shit ton of demos.
It is a lot. It is a lot, but also, it was 5 years, and I was writing a lot. That was really they assigned me to essentially like a development deal. And because I was obviously only 15, I had no social media, which wasn't even really a thing then. And I didn't have any songs, and I didn't have, the whole plan was like, write, which is one thing I will say Atlantic, at least that record label, they're very strong about like the song is important. The song is what matters. So it was just very like adamant. Everybody was very adamant about like, we have to get the song. So you're going to write with everybody and everybody, every single day, a different person. And they call it like speed dating, essentially. You just like go in with one person one day, the next day a different person, see who you match with.
So it sounds like writing a fuck ton, like just practice is part of the equation. But what about like other kinds of training? Like, do you have any like formal training or mentors, that kind of stuff? Or is it just, hey, practice until you get better?
Well, vocally, I guess, like vocally, I have my singing coach who I've had since I was like, I don't know, 11 or something. And she made my voice into what it is today, essentially. Obviously I did too, but like, she was a big part of that. And so that was constantly always, getting better, but also people, I mean, I'm sure people realize it, but like, at least I've realized it as I've gotten older. When I was younger, I used to be like, people say that your voice changes as you get older. And I was like, yeah, whatever, we'll see. But I genuinely have noticed how my voice from like when I was like 16, 17 to now has changed. Like it's gotten deeper. I'm able to hit lower notes that I never was able to before. And just, different things that like I didn't expect. But yeah, I mean, like, as far as like, it's a good question. It's like, how do they expect you to, they just put you in a room basically and they're like, you better write. Guess what happens? Like, see what's going to happen. But I used to hear from a lot of friends too that other writers that like other labels would sometimes, they would essentially sign an artist and they would put them in the room with writers, whoever, for like, I don't know, maybe 2-3 months. And then after those 3 months, whatever song they got that was the best, that's the one they'd go with for the single. And like, there wasn't really like, there was some help, but it's like, but whatever you got is what you got, which in my case, I was very lucky. That wasn't the case because thank God they didn't put out the songs that I had when I was like 16. It would have been very bad, but it would have been very tragic. But yeah, so, my journey with Atlantic was very much like, there were some things that I'm like, wow, I'm very grateful for. And then there's some things where I'm like, well, that could have been different, but you live and you learn.
It's interesting. I would have thought the like putting out songs sooner would have been frustrating, but it sounds like you're glad that they didn't force that into what. Do you remember like what one of the early songs would have been if they just picked the best one and went for it after a couple months?
Yeah, I mean, I look through the demos list and I see so many titles of songs that I'm like, God, like before I came up with the name GALXARA, I've always though been like into space and like, the universe, galaxy, cosmic, all that stuff. And so at some point I was like, you know what? Like earlier on when I was like 15, 16, I was like, what if all my songs on the album were like celestial based? Like I'm going to have one called like On the Moon, another one called Nebula, another one called The Galaxy, like all these things, which, isn't that cheesy, but it's pretty cheesy. Like it's freaking cheesy for me. So I look back at those and I'm like, oh God, thank God, like that didn't come out. And it's funny though, because when I was 15, 16, 17, like I remember like being so pissed that the songs weren't coming out. I was like, hey, I've been writing now for like 2 years. You guys said it was going to be 2 years. Like, what the heck? Like I have so many songs they can, but I realize now that it was better that they didn't come out,
Mm-hmm.
The thing I notice now, especially with the name GALXARA, is that anytime I've seen people writing about you, they like, it becomes, her voice is out of this world. Like it all revolves around that theme of them writing. Are you okay with that? Do people overdo that?
No, I think it's sweet. I think it's super sweet that they do that. And like that it's been able, that's, I mean, I feel like it's naturally like the name GALXARA sounds already like something space galaxy, you know what I mean? Like that's how I came up with it. So I feel like that's good enough. And I'm glad that people, that they even say those things about my voice and about me and everything. So I think and also like one thing I've learned too is like this idea of like, I don't have to just be, which comes back to honestly like our identity, but like I literally don't have to be just one thing. In my head, when I was like 15, 16, I was like, oh, I have to be the space girl. Like that's, but it's like, which, it's cool, but it's like, why am I only limiting myself to like this one pocket? You know what I mean? Like there's so many other things that I am, that I do, that I, like can be. So that's something
Space lesbian. Now there's
exactly. My girlfriend is going to die at this. Like this part in particular, she's gonna laugh so much.
Okay, can I get your pre-approval to, in our show notes, write your name as GALXARA, comma, space lesbian?
Oh my god. So funny. I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that.
I could also maybe like link to your music or other things, but that's okay. Well, you mentioned identity. You mentioned your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your process of whatever it was to either coming out or understanding your identity a little bit more?
Yeah. I mean, I never honestly thought that I never put myself in the box of like, you are super straight, but I never had any like thoughts of being with any other girls, honestly, until I met my girlfriend. And it was a very different process from how she came out and she, realized that she was attracted to women. But I was in a relationship with a guy for 4 years, and from like 14 to like 18. And in my head, I was like, yeah, I'm with a guy. Like, I'm straight. That's just what it is. And then that was a shit show. And it was very toxic, in a funny way. But no, not funny. But it was toxic and it was not good. And after that, I was very much just like, okay, I'm gonna live my life, and I ended it and whatever. And then honestly, the only way I explain it, because it's how it happened, was just like I met my girlfriend. And at first I was just like, wow, we get along so well. We're going to be the best of friends. It's like, we're going to be best friends. And it's true. We got along very well. And I was like, wow, like I haven't had honestly, at the time with my ex-boyfriend, he was like my only friend. I was traveling a lot. I was doing a lot of music stuff. And like, I had left school at a young age. Like, I finished school, but like in person. So I didn't have many girlfriends or any friends at all. So my boyfriend was the friend. And now I was like, wow, there's this girl, like, and slowly but surely, eventually, I just started having butterflies. And I was like, all right, this is not normal. This isn't like friendship situation anymore. This is more than that. And I was very confused at first, which I feel like is so normal. Like, of course I was going to be confused. I never felt that for a girl, ever. And so yeah, and so I was just, and then eventually, I don't know, I must have been like, I'm feeling feelings for you. And then she was like, yeah, me too. And, the rest is history. Oh. But yeah, it was, it was a slow, it wasn't just like a slap in the face of like, yep, you're gay now. It was more of just like a really deep understanding of like me understanding and realizing like, oh my God, like I'm feeling feelings I've never felt before. And I feel like right, like it feels good, I feel safe, like and secure in this, and I'm not forcing it. And yeah, so it was great. It was great.
That's adorable.
Yeah. On top of too, that my parents are also parents are extremely accepting. So my sister is a lesbian, and my brother, he's doing things, and I'm whatever. And so it was, I think for them it was maybe a little surprise, but not really. But they were like, as long as you're happy, that's all we care about. That's all we ever care about. So I'm very blessed. I'm very, very blessed for that.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was going to ask about how that process, how that transition for you affected your songwriting, like bringing you back to writing songs. Like, do you notice a difference, pre and post coming out process?
100%. Yeah. When I was with my ex, for some reason, because I was always so like, I'm a very driven person. I was very like, music is what I'm going to do. I like eye of the tiger. Like I'm focused, and I didn't want. I was young. I cared a lot about what other people thought of me. And I didn't want anyone thinking that I was like starting to like fall off track because I had a boyfriend. And which, looking back, I'm like, girl, you are stupid. Like, what? Who cares? Nobody cares. But like, at the time I was like, no, I don't want people to think I'm not. Because I actually do understand a little bit, because I was so young in this career that there were so many adults, I wanted people to take me seriously. Like, and I was afraid that if I was this young girl with a boyfriend and whatever, I have no idea what I thought, but that's where my brain was at. So I honestly I tried to keep it a secret for like a long time. I was like not trying to tell people I was in a relationship. I was like so like against writing songs about love, romance, anything that had to do with love. I was like, no, we're not doing that. That's not who I am. And like, which, you know, to each its own, but it's like, now I'm like, come on, like love is the most universal, most amazing thing. That's why everybody writes songs about it. Like there's a reason for that, you know, but I was just trying to be the different one and not do it, but you know, whatever, it's fine. And also I just like, there was for a long period of time, I was just like not present, like in my writing. I was just like, you know, I tried to be, but it's like, I felt like there was just times where other people were like writing their lives and I was singing about it, which is okay. But it's like, I very heavily wanted to be a part of the songwriting process. And I just felt like I wasn't writing about my life at all. Like I had no connection to it. Like it wasn't coming from my heart. Like it wasn't true to me. And that sucked. And when I got into the relationship with my girlfriend and it was such a shift. Like, it was like, you know, I obviously like once that happened, I realized too, like, cause I think I was 18 or 19. I was like, okay, well, you know, social media was starting to, you know, was doing its thing. And I was like, I have to like either decide if I'm going to like not tell anybody I'm in a relationship with a girl. Cause it is kind of it'll be a shock for some people, you know, I guess.
Yeah.
Or what, you know? And so finally I was like, no, forget it. Like, I'm just going to, you know, we're going to go for it. So, you know, I told my managers, I told whoever I could tell that mattered. And yeah. And then I think my first post was like a Valentine's Day post, like, this is my lover, you know, whatever the heck it was. And that kind of like, you know, spilled the tea, I guess. And at that point, then it was just like now a process of me going into writing sessions and telling people like, okay, I have a girlfriend. Or I'd be like, I'm in a relationship with a girl, my first girl. And so I would just be like, you know, I want to write about her and like what I was feeling. And still, the song I wrote about her is called Death of Me, which is like very morbid when I say that. But it was like the first song I wrote, like specifically about her and about like, just honestly, just like how it felt like falling in love with her, you know, which whatever. So it was cute. It was very cute. And I felt so happy that I wrote it. And like, it felt so true to my heart, like, you know, and I cried listening to it and I played it for her. And it was like such a, you know, it was, besides like being like, here's this thing I wrote about you, like, I love you, you know, it was also for me, it was like, damn, like I am a damn good writer and like I can write, you know, I just have to like bring my heart into it, you know, which was nice, you know, to do that. So
I am wondering if that's the post where, okay, I do this thing. I don't know if you do this as well. When I find an artist, I'm like, God, please be queer. And I don't know why I want, like, when I really like someone, I'm just like, really hope there's some kind of queer. And I did this when I discovered you. I think I started scrolling through. It might have been that, like,
probably
that post that like, I was like,
please don't let this be about her best friend.
But I don't, do you do that as well? Or how do you feel about people basing kind of how they feel about you on being a queer or being lesbian? Does that feel good or bad or nothing?
Yeah, no, I definitely know what you mean. Like, I saw a comment on one of my TikToks, I think, a couple days ago that was like, what did it say? It was just like, yes, somebody like me or like somebody a part of my community or something like that. And I think it was like a post I had about me and my girlfriend or something, which made me feel happy. But I totally get what you're saying, because yes, there's many times where I like see something that I really like or a person that I'm like, oh, their personality, you know, and then I'm like curious to know, like, but are they gay or are they queer or are they super straight? Like, I don't know. But then again, I don't know. Sometimes like when there's somebody that I see that I'm like, wow, this person's funny, like they have that thing, I'm just like, I feel like they're probably queer. They're just, I don't know. It's just, we have just that thing, you know, like, I don't know. It's just a thing. I can't explain it. Yeah.
How would you feel if people thought of you as a queer singer-songwriter or a lesbian singer-songwriter? Would that be okay with you? Or would you want like the singer-songwriter to come first and then people to kind of connect to the identity?
No, I'm totally fine with people connecting with the identity first. I don't know. I just feel like identity and how you identify is a big part of like the world right now, and respecting that. And I guess when I was younger, like that wasn't really a thing I thought of, but I can understand that, like, if I was, let's say if I was like 8 years old and I was like in the closet, like, and you know, the second that I saw an artist that I'm like, oh my God, and then I also found out that they were gay, I would feel so like, it would just be amazing, probably. I mean, I think so, like, because you're just like, wow, this person's just like me, and they're, you know, so I don't have any problem. I think it's awesome that people like, I don't know, I think it's cool that they see that part of me and they're like, wow, like, you know, there's this girl that like is lesbian, but also like, kind of like you guys are saying, there's a lot of straight things that I do too that like, you know, it's weird, but yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Speaking of the challenging parts, right when the pandemic came, you talked about getting dropped from your label, and it seemed like kind of taking some time to yourself and figure yourself out. Can you talk about what that, you know, those couple years or during the pandemic was like for you?
Yeah, that was rough. I'm sure it was rough for everybody, but yeah, it was definitely like, I don't know, I guess it was kind of just that thing where everybody thought like, all right, this will only last for like 3 months and then we'll get back to life and back to work and everything. And then all of a sudden, freaking 3 years went by and you're just like, what just happened? And that's kind of how I thought things would go back to normal. And I had just put out Sway With Me, which was on the Birds of Prey soundtrack, which was like was like the biggest thing I had done. And that was really like a great push, and it was starting to like push me into doing live shows. I was practicing for live shows and stuff, and then COVID hit, so it was like, all right, we're not doing that. And so then everything went digital, and like it was just like a lot of it went on. I mean, yes, me because I'm an artist, but so many artists, like the labels were just like, you know, there's only so much we can do because we can't be touring right now. We can't be like promoting you how we usually would. So you need to be the one promoting yourself, like all over social media. So, you know, it was like hard. It was hard. It was just kind of like this huge change of things. And you're just like, you know, I didn't know this was going to be happening. And yeah. And then, I mean, things were going good. You know, I mean, I put out a song, I think, or 2 songs, and, you know, I did a music video from my house, which was cool, you know, but yeah, but then like end of 2020 came, and then they were just like, okay, you know, we're dropping you with a bunch of other artists we're dropping. And my now manager, like right now, he was in an A&R at Atlantic, and they also let him go too. So they were doing a lot of cuts, you know, which I get it. COVID, like money, like it's rough out here. So it was like, all right, that happened. And, you know, at that point I very much was like, I wasn't that sad about it. I was kind of like, okay, you know, this is life. Like, this is what happens. Shit happens. And it didn't feel like a big, like, oh my God, like, it's all over for me. You know, I was kind of like, look, it's not a bad thing. You know, like, if this is happening, it's meant for a reason, whatever. So I felt, like, strong in that. But then, like, February came, and my mental health was shit. It was just bad. Like, my depression was the worst it's ever been. I was having these like up and down manic episodes, and like my anxiety was really bad. And like, of course it was like attributed to that, but also it was just more so just like my loss of identity. I was just like, well, who am I if I am not signed to Atlantic Records and doing music? Like, you know, what am I doing? You know, it's like being at a job for like 10 years and then getting fired, and you're just like, what? Like, you know, what do I do with my life now? So I spent like the entire of 2021, just about doing everything possible to work on myself. I mean, like I got diagnosed bipolar, got a medication, tried out a lot of medication for a while, trying to make that work and getting to like a therapeutic range. And I mean, I was heavily like meditating. I got very spiritual, and like, I just did everything possible to make sure that I was like in the best place to start again. Because like, if your brain and your mental is not there, like nothing else is there. Like, you cannot do this job, I don't think, if you're not there, which we've seen times and times again. many artists that try to do this like without having themselves in check, and a lot of them die, or they turn to drugs, alcohol, the whole thing. So I did not want that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, when you discovered your bipolar diagnosis and worked through medication, I've also had that process of finding medication that works for you. And I know for some people it kind of works. For other people, it can take a while and can be the worst nightmare trying to get there. What was your process like finding medication and finding things that worked for you mentally? Yeah,
I mean, definitely was like hard at first, and I was kind of like, well, do I really want to turn to medication right away? Not that I'm against it, but I was like, if there's any other, methods. So I mean, I was like, I first had just like started heavily meditating, trying to like just have some sort of higher power, because I felt like I was doing everything on my own, essentially. Like I felt like not the world revolved around me, but it's like, well, if I don't do this, then no one will. And it's like, no, I don't think that's how it works. And also too, I got a therapist, which I already had, but like, I got a new therapist, whatever, went through like 3 or 4 different therapists. And the medication, eventually I was like, okay, like eventually got to a point where I was like, okay, I think I need to like possibly get on medication, because it was not so good. And the medication that I got on for bipolar, my psychiatrist had just told me that I needed to start very low, because the specific medication, if you like ramp up too fast, you can get this rash. I don't know where, but some rash. And if you get the rash, then you can never go on the medication again. Like it's a no-go.
I'm pretty confident I'm taking this same one, because my therapist just had that conversation with me.
Oh my God, wait, what's it called? Wait, can we say it, or are we not allowed to say?
Oh no, you can say it. I just don't remember what it is. Is it? Fuck. No, I don't remember the name of it.
Lamotrigine? Lamictal?
Lamotrigine. Is it lamotrigine? Yeah. Yep.
I'm sorry, it's not funny, but it's funny.
Yeah, it's a little funny.
Bonding over bipolar medication.
No, I was just like, I've had the rash talk. I've discussed this. Yeah.
I've had the rash talk. Yeah. No, yeah. It was like a serious thing, though. He was like, you cannot do it any faster. I was like, okay, I won't. Like, I'll listen to whatever you guys say, bro. Right. But that was, that was a little process, because it took like, I don't remember how many months it took to get to the point where I was like, all right, I feel good at this level. So yeah, like it's, it's something like I learn about every day, but yeah, I don't remember what your question was, but I hope I answered it.
I don't either. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you for being so open about it. Like the stigma is so crazy, and it's not helpful. And so I think visibility is super important. So I just really appreciate your vulnerability.
No, thank you. Like it's funny though you say that, because I remember when I found out when Demi Lovato, I think they said that she was bipolar, and people, I was younger, and like mental health wasn't really, I don't remember like thinking about it that much. And I remember like reading people's comments or what people were saying about it, and they're like, oh, she's bipolar, like she goes crazy. And I remember being like, oh my God, like a bipolar person, like I have to be afraid of them. And like that sucks, because that's so not true. Like, I mean, sometimes I'm afraid of myself, but like not that often. So it was sad that like, that's what I took away as a young kid, like hearing people say that about her, when it's like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, but what you're saying is true. Like I'm grateful that like I'm able to like see it now. Like there's such a stigma around it. And it's like, I just wish people, I wish people had bigger brains. Honestly.
Well, I want to make sure we don't breeze past the singles that you have released are, I think I found you through Waste My Youth, which was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Don't you know that my time's like $1 million? I could spend it anywhere. I wanna waste my youth on you.
And then, of course, like Sway With Me, it sounds like the timing is really like, it sucks with how that worked out with timing, but like it's on Birds of Prey, it's with Saweetie, it has 30 million views on YouTube. Like it is a huge hit. How did that feel, like making that and when that blew up?
Yeah, no, that was definitely like a highlight. I was, again, I don't know why. It's like, it's like I didn't know what was going on at the time, though. I still was like, wait, what's happening? I remember them mentioning there's this movie that's about Harley Quinn. I was like, oh, cool. And they're like, we're looking for people on the album. It's an all-girl album. I was like, awesome. But in my head, I'm like, I'm this tiny artist on Atlantic. There's no way I'm going to be getting on that. Like, it's, thanks for telling me, but, and so then, but that was like a year before or something. And then a year later comes and they start saying that they're looking for songs, like finally, or you're like supposed to be sending in songs and these are the things that they want. And so then, I started writing almost every session at the time. I was writing for the movie and, they were like not getting approved, whatever, I was like, okay, whatever. And I just remember they sent me a track, which was the Sway With Me track, that the producer Cutfather had, remixed, whatever, reproduced. And I was like, this is super dope. And so then I got in with two amazing writers and we wrote it. We wrote my part, we wrote it, and we were like, okay, this is good, and we'll see. And then I remember them saying like, okay, we've sent it now for like a rap feature, Saweetie. And I was like, okay, cool. To be honest, I didn't know who she was until that moment. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. But whatever. It's fine. And it's the truth. So I was like, okay. It's, then I looked her up and I was like, oh, okay, And in my head, I'm like, I wonder what it's going to be like meeting this girl. Like, I don't know. And so they got her verse on it and they sent it back. And I don't know, after a few back and forths, eventually they were like, okay, we're going to go with this song for the fourth single or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I remember that happening and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then the question was like, was there going to be a music video for it? Because like the music video, the singles that get the music video, now that's pretty fun. Like that's where the fun happens, So I was like really pushing for it and they were cutting it really close. Like they had done the single with Megan Thee Stallion and Doja Cat or whoever else they had done those videos for, but they like weren't saying anything for ours. So I was like, oh, no, we're not getting ours. And then I don't even know, like maybe, I don't know, a little bit right before the movie came out, they're like, okay, we're doing it, like get ready, whatever. So then the music video, like that was what was really cool, personally, I think, because like just the fashion and the styling and everything and the location. No, it was surreal. It was like, yeah, it was a long day. And I just remember at night being like, wow, like I can't believe I just did that. Like it was crazy. It was crazy, but I'm very grateful. And then seeing it afterwards, you're just like, wow. And seeing so many people excited about it was super cool. And they invited me to go see the movie at whatever theater. And so I saw that and it was super cool. It was awesome. I'm very lucky.
And then cut to now, you're doing all of the new songs that you're writing on your own as an independent artist. Is that right?
Yes.
So should already be out, but you've been teasing people with Sour for a long time.
Don't be sour 'cause you didn't get to taste this. All the sugar, homie, ain't gonna be wasted. Got to be bitter, baby, it's not complicated. Keep on in my fucking mouth 'cause you're just sour. Don't be sour. You're just sour.
So you can download it now. But I think on your TikTok, you said that Sour was inspired by your ex-boyfriend that you talked about. Is this true?
Yes, it definitely, it was inspired by many individuals, I guess I'd say. It's, not very rarely, there are times where I come into a session where I'm like, okay, this person is about to get like killed in my song right now, like specifically this one. But most of the time it's like just this, I don't even know, this like swirling of all these people in my life that have done me wrong. And then that's where like it all comes out on. So he's definitely one of those people. There's a few others, but yeah, I wrote that song. I don't even know. I wrote it almost 2 years ago. I wrote Sour almost 2 years ago. It was during the pandemic. We wrote it over Zoom. And I remember being like, wow, this is dope. Like it's different from what I've done. I really like it. But also too, like, then my mental health, all that stuff happened. And I was like, look, I don't even know if this is going to come out. But once I got back on it, I was like, all right, this was the first one that I posted, like on TikTok, and people really responded well to. And I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to do it. Like, we're just going to put it out. Let's just get it done. So, I'm so grateful that it's coming out. I'm so grateful that people have been so like excited about it and supportive about it. And yeah, that I was even able to get it done, because it's it really is a different game when you're an independent artist compared to being on a major label. You know, I mean, there's pros and cons, but like the freedom to be able to do whatever I want now is really awesome. Like, I'm very hands-on. I like to be a part of everything that I'm doing. So I'm really glad that I get to like just steer the ship now. And I decide when things come out. I decide when I want to do this. I decide who I work with. I decide like pretty much everything, you know, rather than having to go through like 30 people. So
Yeah.
That's great.
yeah, it's good to be the boss.
Master of your own domain.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I wrote that one a long time ago, but yeah, that was inspired by who shall not be named. No, but I'm kidding. Yeah, just, you know, I mean, like, it's just kind of about anybody who's ever like underestimated you, I guess, and like doesn't value you, hasn't seen your worth, hasn't, you know, realized your potential, I guess. Which I feel like I don't know, in this industry, I feel like you're dealing with that a lot, because there's so many other people that want to be doing what you're doing, or, you know, that think they're better than you and whatever. So, yeah.
Last thing I'll ask before we get to break, what can we expect from you in the future? You've been teasing us Sour so long that what comes next after this?
That's true. I'm trying to figure out like how the artists do it, where they like say what it is but don't say what it is. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
or
or
just like big picture life, what you want to happen. Like,
I guess what we can expect is what I will expect for myself is some great more singles coming out this rest of this year, a few more, and an EP, a nice solid rockin' EP at the beginning of the year of 2023, to hopefully be able to perform that live and tour it and do as much as I can in person finally at the start of next year, springtime, hopefully, or even sooner. So, I mean, like, I live for performing. That's where I shine. That's my like space. So I'm very excited to start doing that finally.
Next time you're in Seattle, let us know. We'll come crash your party.
Yes. Hello. Of course. No, that'd be awesome. That'd be super awesome.
all right, well, let's take a little break then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
Take a break.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
So are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are going to do our Gayest and Straightest.
We're going to do our Gayest and Straightest. But first, GALXARA, tell us all the things. Where can people find you, what you're up to, get in touch with you? Let's hear it.
Okay, so I'm on pretty much every social media known to man, I think. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Probably all of them are either at GALXARA or at I am GALXARA, because probably GALXARA was taken. But yeah, so those are my socials, and I will actually already have my single Sour out, which is on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, YouTube, pretty much anywhere you can find it. So, yep, that's what I got.
And absolutely take a listen to Sour. You will probably hear it no matter what, because it is a bop and going to be all over. So definitely check it out.
Thank you, guys.
Well, our website is gayishpodcast.com.
We are on like half of the socials. You'll have to guess which ones at Gayish Podcast.
Our hotline, you can send us text messages or leave us voicemails, is 5855-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rates apply.
Our email is gayishpodcast@gmail.com.
And our physical mailing address is Post Office Box 19882, Seattle, Washington, 98109. A really quick programming note, this coming Sunday on September the 18th at 2 p.m. Pacific, it's our 300th episode.
Wow.
And we are having a live stream Q&A party. So grab your booze, hold on to your butts, and please send in your questions so that Derek can pick out the ones that we're going to get asked on the air. Send them to Gayish Podcast plus 300 at gmail.com. Gayish Podcast, the plus symbol 300 at gmail.com. Okay. Time for our Gayest and Straightest.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
The gayest is that I still have my monkeypox vaccination mark from like the mark on your arm like lasts a decently long time from the
It's
second.
the mark of the beast, Kyle.
Oh, I posted that I'm part of the Scarlet Letter of the Next Generation. Like that's and people have noticed that they're like, oh, I see you got your monkeypox
Yeah.
vaccination. Like, yes, I am very slutty. So my straightest is this is not straight, but I got really excited about a bunch of decorations I was going to put up in my place. So my straightest is they are all delivered and they are just sitting in boxes around. Delaying decorating my place is my straightest.
Yeah.
That's okay though.
Yeah.
But you'll get to it. I believe in you.
I'll get to it.
You'll
eventually.
get to it.
Yeah.
It'll be a nice little Sunday project.
So the straightest thing about me this week is agreeing at work to sing a remake of Earth, Wind, and Fire's September, but redone with corporate bullshit Salesforce lyrics and trying to look like I was having fun doing it. That's the straightest thing about me. And my like a dancer I am not. That's also the straightest thing about me. It was videoed and like I'm so stiff and like I'm in my 40s, whatever.
Do you have that video and can I have it, please?
I will send it to you. Yeah.
Oh, please. Oh, please.
Okay, great. Okay. And then the gayest thing about me this week was playing the board game Return to Dark Tower with Kyle and a couple of our gay friends. And in this game, you gather resources. You gather spirit and you gather men, which, of course, you know, like an army, which we then referred to as dudes. So just like continuously talking about like, hey, be sure to pick up your dudes. Oh, you're going to go over there and pick up these dudes. And how many dudes do you have? It was and laughing every time. It was never not funny.
That's funny. That's so cute. What's it called?
Return to Dark Tower.
Oh my gosh. Never heard
It was it was a Kickstarter. I'm one of those Kickstarter whores. Like I just take my money to everybody who has a good idea.
Yeah. I know Shark Tank. That's where I'm at too. Sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is amazing.
GALXARA, what's your gayest and straightest?
So I'd say my gayest, it's not this week though, it's just what I can think of.
Guest's gonna pass. Recent memory.
Yes, recent memory. Gayest would be, I guess, like me and my girlfriend pretty much like met and fell in love and said I love you within like 2 weeks. That would be like my gayest. Because it's like, which I didn't even know that was a thing, but she's the one who told me. She's like, yep, like now it's time to call the U-Haul. Like that's what we're going. Yep. I was like, okay, I guess that's a thing.
You are a space lesbian.
Yes, that is the lesbian stereotype for sure.
I know. And I was like, wow. It's just funny because I was like, wow, I feel so special. Like this is only us in the world that fell in love this fast. But no, it was very much not. And then my straightest, I guess, would be, at least from this is what my girlfriend said, which is not that exciting, would be that not anymore, but for a very long time, I had my nails like very long. They're not long right now, but I mean, I had like the nice stiletto nails. So that would be the straightest, I guess I'd say. I just like them.
That's awesome. I did not know that, like, you know, that longer fingernails was a straight girl thing, but it makes sense now.
I didn't know that either.
The lesbian thing is you have like a couple of nails that are cut all the way down.
Yeah, like,
you know, like it's the long nails except
you
for
would have
a couple
like these
fingers.
super long, and then these would be like it would be
Yes.
like nothing.
Yes,
Which like
exactly.
I could have done that, but that would have I would not have done that. It's okay. I just took them all off. That's what I would do though. I would actually like I would get mine done. I used to get mine done like, you know, done, and then they would stay on for so long. Where now I just start wearing freaking the press-ons. I can take them off like the next day, so it works out.
There
good.
you go.
Yeah, it works out.
Well, GALXARA, thank you for being with us, taking the time to do this.
Thank
really
you guys
appreciate
so
it.
much. Yeah, it was so awesome.
Congrats on Sour.
Thank you.
We will be excited and waiting for the whatever you decide to release next.
Yes, I'm very excited for what's coming next, and I think you guys will be too. So, woohoo! More queer energy is coming.
Amazing.
Excellent.
I would also like to thank our super gap bridgers. Thank you to John Crowley, Stephen Porcio, Stossel, Harry Shaw, Josh Copeland, Jonathan Montanez, Forrest Snow, Patrick Martin, Anonymous, James Vero, Steve Douglas, Explosive Lasagna, Jess Jamie, Kevin Henderson, Donald Valinsky, Thomas B. Dusty Sanzay, Coleman, Chris Cacciatorian, and Jerome York. Thank you all more than anyone else, even more than our current guest that is still here watching us.
It's okay. You said that so fast. Wow.
I've practiced.
Well, that is it. This has been Gayish from the Chris Cacciatorian Studios. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you. See ya.
Bye.
Be a space lesbian.
Oh my God.
It's my new favorite thing. I want a movie now, I think.
Oh my God.
Like an all singing movie.
Oh
called
my God. I'm
Space
going to tell my
Lesbian.
friends. They were so excited for me to do this. And that's what I'm gonna tell them. That's gonna be my takeaway from this whole thing. They're gonna be like, "How was it, space lesbian?"
Space Lesbian. No one eats a cookie and is like, oh, yum, a raisin cookie.
I do? God damn it.
Ew.
Why are we
Ew.
such different
Really?
people? How are we friends? Why is this?
You like raisin cookies?
I love oatmeal raisin cookies. They're fucking amazing.
Ew. All right. That's your decision. And I am not involved in that.
My mouth, my choice.